You're listening to the Chopped Podcast, episode number 137. Hey everyone, welcome to the next episode of the Chopped Podcast. Today is Friday, so that means it's time for
FriChats.
Hi Cara, how are you doing?
What's up, Marley? I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great. I feel like it's been forever since I've talked with you, and yet I realize it's only been a few minutes.
Well, and what's funny is that we usually think, oh, we've only been talking for like 5 minutes, haven't we? And then like an hour has already passed.
How does that happen?
I don't know. Soul sisters, I guess. Something like that.
I guess so.
Yeah.
It's true what they say, that time flies when you're having fun.
Amen.
Yep. I always have fun when I'm talking with you. I think we're just like so connected on some level, like this kind of spiritual,
Cosmic
soulful
force.
side.
That's
Cosmic
what
force.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I love that. I know that we share an affinity for Neil deGrasse Tyson, and he talks about the cosmic perspective. So I love that.
My God, I love Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Oh, if you don't do anything else on Twitter, in fact, I'm thinking about, I'm sorry, in the current political climate, I follow a lot of political people on Twitter, and I'm contemplating just like unfollowing all of them because I can't take any more of it.
Noise. I know.
But I would just follow Neil deGrasse Tyson because he is that good.
He's the best. He's the kind of guy you want to be his best friend, you know?
Yes. And he always talks about, things from obviously a very big picture, like the cosmic picture. Like if you were to back away from Earth and keep going further and further and further back, and then Earth becomes this small dot in the sky, and then you start to realize, okay, all the troubles that we're experiencing it's like a blip in the radar.
Yeah, it makes it, I don't want to say silly when we struggle with things because
Right.
those are all a part of our growing process, but it's always nice to have a different perspective, which I think is kind of what FriChats does. It kind of takes you out of this idea that you have to do X, Y, and Z in order to be a successful blog and deals with the deeper parts of life, and it gives you a new perspective.
Oh
So
my God, I love that.
Yeah, in a sense, we're like Neil deGrasse Tyson. So go
We're
us.
just like Neil. Neil, we're buddies, aren't we?
Call us, Neil.
We want you on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that idea, Cara, because it's like easy to be in the rat race of the world or the rat race. I can't talk it.
See,
Rat
it's
race.
hard.
You had this problem last week. Rat
told you
race
it's hard.
of food blogging.
Yes.
And I think it's like such a wise idea just to take a step back from all of that and blog in the way that really makes your heart sing.
Yeah, that's what we're all about.
Yep. Okay. There is a topic I really wanted to talk with you about this week, and I came up with this term called FOBAL.
I love this.
It's called fear of being a leader. Let me say that again. Fear of being a leader.
Love it.
So you want to hear the backstory?
I would, of course, go.
Okay, so we've been talking about the different things that I've been doing with my site, both namely Marley and Chopped. I'm trying to do some different things like webinars. I did the search engine optimization webinar, which went really well. Everybody loved it,
great.
and I was so inspired I couldn't tell you how inspiring it felt to put something out there that felt like people were like, oh my God, I needed this. This has really been helpful to me. So I was really happy about that. I'm doing the same thing on Namely Marley, creating courses. And what I'm finding is that I am putting myself, or I find myself in this leadership position, and like people around me are saying, okay, so what's the next steps? And it's like I want to look behind me like, oh, they're talking to me. They want me to make the decisions here. And I'm calling that fear of being a leader.
Well, because it's really hard to think of ourselves as, I put it in quotes, an expert, because there are so many misconceptions to that. Like being a leader means that you have to be perfect. You have to know all the answers and you can never make a mistake, right? But maybe it's time to redefine what a leader really is.
Oh, that's perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and actually you framed the problem really well, and that is I am afraid of making the wrong decisions, or I don't actually know the answers. I think sometimes I project a level of confidence that I'm not always feeling.
Yeah.
But I like that. I mean, I actually like I've often been told that I project confidence, and I don't always, wonder, I kind of wonder where that comes from, but I want to feel confident in the things I'm doing. So let's talk about what are your thoughts on redefining a leader?
Well, first of all, I want to say you exude confidence because you are a confident person. There's just you're still working through those layers of realizing, oh, I'm not good enough is just a lie. So let me unpeel that. So I really want to speak to that because I don't feel like you're faking it. I feel like it really comes from deep within.
Yes.
You've just convinced yourself that you're not. And so now is a time of reckoning and of telling yourself differently.
What's funny? So here's the answer to that. I feel like I am confident in a vacuum. So when I'm living in my own bubbly head, I feel very confident in myself. However, when the second I start to compare myself to other people, like I think, oh, well, she's got her stuff together way better than I do. So I probably, shouldn't be, don't get ahead of yourself here, girl.
Right. Well, and that's a very human thing to do. And it's a great way for the ego to knock yourself back down into living in fear, right? Because we talked about this before, the way I view ourself, capital S. I don't know why I always have to say capital S, but I do because I have to acknowledge that I'm talking about like the whole being of your person. To me, I think it's divided into two parts. It's your ego and your spirit. And your spirit is that in which, all things are lovely, true, and good. You live off of faith, hope, love, et cetera, et cetera. The ego is fear-based, really. It's the one that wants to lead and is in constant battle with your spirit and loves fear. It feeds off of it. So when you are confident and you're living through spirit, your ego hates that. So then you get into that comparison trap. You get into, what ifs, whatever it is, because the more you live through your spirit side, the less your ego gets a chance to live. And isn't that the goal in life is to kill the ego, right? To quiet it at least. And
at least quiet it, yeah.
Who wants to die? Nobody does. Neither does the ego. So the ego is going to fight tooth and nail for that too. So it's just this constant battle of trying to quiet the ego. So you can be a leader, and you can fail, and you can make a mistake while still being a leader.
I see. So don't be afraid of making the mistakes. Actually, embrace the mistakes. It becomes part of your decision-making process.
Yeah, because how silly is it?
Yeah.
Okay, so somebody said this, that the only way to not be scared of being punched in the face is being punched in the face, right? And so for me personally, I've lived so much of my life being in fear of so much. When I was younger, I didn't enter into a real relationship with a guy until I was about 21. And from like the average age of being in a relationship, like 13, 14, 15, I could have told you that the reason why I'm not in a relationship is because I was focusing on my relationship with God, whatever BS excuse it was. The reality of it was I was so deeply scared of being rejected and of losing that relationship and of love. Of course, now at 30, almost 39 years old, I can now acknowledge that's what it was, but I convinced myself otherwise. It took me getting my heart broken into a million pieces to realize, okay, that wasn't so bad. I survived it. It's okay. I can move on. And it made me a better person. So that whole idea of it's the only way to not be scared of being punched in the face is being punched in the face is you just have to be able to experience your deepest fears to realize, you know what, I am confident that I have all the tools that I need to get through this. I kind of see it like this is something I've talked about with my therapist in the therapy sessions of my mother's death, the loss of a loved one, it couldn't be a greater fear of mine. Yes. And then I lost somebody so dear to my heart. But it's been now over a year, and I'm okay. There's not a day that doesn't go by that I don't think about her and I don't cry about her. And I'm still really angry with her for leaving.
Yes.
But I have realized that I am stronger than I thought I was, that I can get through this, and that I can deal with whatever life brings to me. So that's a roundabout way of saying, when you fear making mistakes and being criticized, and so you keep yourself from making those mistakes, you're doing yourself a disservice. You learn only through those mistakes. So try to make as many as you can, so you can learn from them and become a better person, a better leader, a better blogger, a better mother, whatever it might be.
Oh, that's just beautiful. I have to take all that in, Cara. I just think it hits so many notes on the scale that we all need to think about, because I do think like it is easy to want to look at the way other people are doing it and say, oh, let me just follow their recipe. Yeah. And then I'll be safe. But
yes,
the stepping outside is not, it's kind of scary. And like I say, when I'm paying for a virtual assistant and she's doing work for me, and, what if I tell her the wrong thing to do? So not only did I make a mistake on the site, but now I've wasted money that I'm paying her to do these tasks. But you know what? I actually have a situation like that happened where I had her, we did a post together, and then I realized it's not a direction I wanted to move. And it was just like so easy just to redirect the work that she was doing. And it was fine. It was all good.
Yeah. Cause I feel like the fears that we hold on to are so irrational at times. Yes. Well, they mostly are. I mean, I've read something about like there are two different kinds of fears. There's the extinction fears and there's the perception fears. The extinction fears are the fear of death, the fear of losing a loved one, of not being able to provide for your family. And then the fears of perception are like embarrassment, shame, the FOMO fears. What do we call it? Fear of
missing out.
No, topic, fear of
FOBAL, fear of being a leader. Yeah.
So that is all a perception fear, right?
Yes.
And they're irrational, and they are all about the ego dying.
Yes.
So of course the ego is going to step up and go, wait a minute, what are you trying to do? You're trying to rationalize these fears that keep me in charge. So I'm going to step up a little bit and really fight this one. So it's not until you actually do that, whatever the fear is, those perception fears, when you realize, oh, this isn't so bad. What the hell was I, freaking out about?
Yes.
That's where the freedom is.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about a couple characteristics of being a good leader, because I think one of them I really like is I always have said this, that the higher up you go in the organization, the more you are of service to the people that work for you.
Yes.
So I do feel like I really am into that. Yeah. The servant leader role model. I really do like that.
Because I used to work for a boss he was horrible. He was so abusive and just gross. And his business was failing. And yet he could never admit that he was the problem. He always thought it was his employees. So what happened was there was just like total turnaround every single minute. New people always coming in and out, because he never said, maybe the common denominator in all this is me. So because of that, his business is totally failing. So if you're not like a servant and you're not there to help the people that are under you, that you have hired, that's a scary place to be. Look at the CEO or the former CEO of Uber. All the stuff that's come out against him too. And I don't know. For me, I feel like you can't lead like that for very long.
It's funny. I worked for a really bad boss once too. I can't remember if I told you the story or not, so stop me if I did. But basically, I was the COO, he was the CEO,
Oh, wow.
and I went on vacation for a while, and I mean, like a week or something. And I came back, and it was like a totally different place when I came back. I said to him, "What happened?" Because I feel like it's a dog eat dog environment right
Oh,
now.
wow.
Everybody's at each other's throat, and he goes, "Yeah, I did that on purpose because I feel like, I'm trying to keep everybody on their toes. Like, in other words, his notion of good work was when people felt like they had to compete with each other."
That's a
I
great
was
recipe for disaster.
It's a complete recipe for disaster. I
Oh, man.
cannot believe it's really, I kind of call that an old boys network kind of management leadership style. And I don't think it's effective at all.
Maybe it's effective for some people. I don't really know about that, but it sure wouldn't work for me. I would quit within 5 minutes because
Yes.
that's just not my style.
Yep.
And I think maybe that's probably part of the idea of defining what a good leader is subjective. I don't know. I
Yes.
mean,
I don't know. I kind of feel like there are some good attributes of a leader. Like, for
yes.
example, I think a leader understands maybe they don't understand the entire situation, but they do understand the skills of the people that they're talking with, that are looking for direction from them. So I think if
Yes.
you know that, I feel like you are not going to be putting somebody in a position where they can't handle something, or maybe you kind of push them a little bit, but only, in their comforts, in a way that works well for them. I want to say it that way.
Well, yeah, I think you're absolutely right because when like a good manager always knows the different type of people that they work with, that one size does not fit all, and so that they have to adapt constantly on how they phrase things and
Yes.
also the talents, like just like what you're saying. um, but what's interesting is trying to understand like what it means to be a leader as a blogger too, because what if you don't have any employees, or
But what if you have a web
you're not a
developer?
sure.
So
Yeah.
what if that web developer did something you didn't like? Do you have the ability to say that?
Yeah, it's your business, right?
I know, I know. I'm just telling you, that's an area that's hard for me. And that's probably part of my FOBAL, is that I am so worried about saying things that would disappoint someone else.
Okay, so that sounds like a perception fear, right?
Ah, it is.
Um,
Exactly. I want you to like me.
right. It's the fear of someone not liking me because I have my own voice. Because
Yes.
maybe when I was younger, it wasn't okay to have my own voice or whatever it might be.
Yes.
I think this is why we say it's really important to be honest with yourself every day, and to anytime you like start getting like a really strong reaction from somebody or something, to step back and go, why am I having this reaction here? Why am I freaking out right now that so and so just grew their account really fast and I'm not, or whatever.
Yeah.
um, why am I having a hard time being able to tell somebody I just hired that that's not what I want? Then the more you start sorting through that, you more you realize it's kind of like an irrational fear, right?
Yes. Yep.
And so somebody who leads well knows that these are issues. I don't think that being a good leader means that you stand up for yourself all the time. It's that you're always working through the reasons why
Yes.
maybe you don't stand up for yourself.
Yes. I
Somebody
love it.
somebody lied to bloggers, in my opinion, that in order to be a good blogger, you have to be an expert in your field. Because I really think that that's what this is about too. This idea of being a leader, your fear of being a leader is
Yes.
it's more about your audience looking to you as the expert. Um, and I see this on Instagram a lot, of these like expert beauty consultants and
Uh-huh.
expert Facebook people and expert blah blah blah. And I think that's I don't know. I might change my mind next week, but I think that's very dangerous
Yeah.
because unless you have like a degree in that, you're probably I don't know. You're probably not an expert, and you don't need to be an expert in order to be a successful blogger. Am I making sense?
Absolutely. I love that. In fact, to be honest, I think it plays into the goal I have for my sites and the work that I'm doing is I don't want to be responsible for all of it.
Right.
Responsible is one word, but I don't want to do all of it. So rather than me feeling like I have to be the expert, I could just hire people that can be the experts and that they're supporting me at that point.
Well, and that's a really good point too. I think that's like an offset point of that as well. Like, yes, I don't have to have all of the plates spinning on my fingers.
Yes.
But I also don't have to be the expert recipe creator in the sense that like everybody needs to come to me for baking allergen friendly. You know what I mean? And so I have to know everything. I have to have all the answers and I have to be perfect at it.
Ooh, yeah, that's a lot of pressure.
Yes. And I don't know about you. That's the thing I've always heard in blogging is that you have to be the expert. And I think that's just a flat out lie. It's a flat out lie because when you are trying to be the expert, it means that you're trying to be in control. And when you're trying to be in control, it's usually because you're leading by fear, which means the ego has stepped in. And so it's a really nice, it's fine to be the expert in something, but there's no need to like show everybody that you know everything about this one particular topic.
It comes down to your motivations, don't you think? Like if you become an expert in gluten-free flours because you're just so passionate about it and you just love it and you love, creating tools to help your audience better understand how gluten-free flours work together. That to me, that's different than if you felt like you just wanted to know more than everybody else out there.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And I think the majority of at least my motivation probably does come from that irrational fear of I have to be the best. That means I have to be the expert. I have to know all the answers because if I do, then I'll be loved. This is my main, can you see that this is my motivator constantly.
Yes.
And it constantly have to be honest with myself and say, oh, that's why I'm having this reaction to it, because my real motivation, even though I'm saying that, oh, I'm so passionate about helping people, the real reason is it feeds something in me too. And there's a little bit of both. And the goal is to figure out how I can kind of let that ego die every single time, a little bit more, a little bit more.
It's so funny. We were again on the same page because I have this pattern in my life that I just recently recognized. And that is, I actually wrote about this in my journal, that I love to help other people. Like I will take on a person and I will imagine, I actually wrote this term. I feel like I have this strength of positivity that I have enough positivity that I can not only live my own life with positivity, but I can live hers with positivity too.
Yeah.
And I can fix them. I can get in there and I can make their life better if they could just take on my positivity. And time again, that has not worked. Time and time again. And finally, what I realized is that my desire to heal other people is really this desire to heal myself. And yes, I am a very strong source of positivity. It is true. However, I'm not without my own, internal wounds that need to be healed from my childhood or different things that I've gone through, like my brother dying or, just different things that I've experienced that have really impacted me. And I find I've been taking on these very powerful meditation processes lately, and they really have helped me, start to focus on myself. And then I feel like then I am better. Then what I do is my life becomes an example for the people who want to make changes in their life, not me forcing my positivity on people who probably don't even want it.
That's a very profound statement that you just made.
It felt profound.
Because it's profound to admit that, because he wants to like admit that maybe my motivations behind helping others have ulterior motives.
Yes.
But you're 100% right in that. Yes, absolutely. And does that mean, like you said, does that mean that me wanting to help others is bad? Not at all. Not at all. Go with that, but also keep working on yourself.
Yeah.
Because what they say, you know, about airplanes, if the oxygen mask come down, the person you're supposed to help first is you, because you can't be of help to anybody if you're like struggling to
dead.
breathe. Yeah. Or if you're dead. There you go. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, that's what I love about entrepreneurship, is that if you give it the opportunity, you have this beautiful platform to work on yourself constantly and to figure out how to be a leader in the respect that you feel comfortable with. It might not be the expert at something. It might be the expert at something. It doesn't have to be one or the other, but you can be a leader that that can accept criticism. You can be a leader that doesn't have to be the most popular, that can be rejected, but you're not dictating your life through your ego and believing that you're not enough. And that's like my goal in life, is to constantly be working on that. And I hope that, like, as the beautiful opportunity as being a blogger gives us, that we can constantly face those irrational fears and learn how to quiet them and lead in a very thoughtful and effective way. And it's going to look different than everybody else, but that's okay. And that's okay.
Oh, that's beautiful. And I also feel like to add to that is don't let be, you know, if you do have fear of being a leader, you know, I think what I'm hearing you say, Cara, is like, you just got to go with your gut a little bit more, trust yourself, have confidence in your ability to lead if you stay focused and listen to what your desires are. So, you know, if we're talking about a web developer and let's say they messed up or they did something you didn't like, you have to have confidence in your ability to say the things that you need to say. And they may not be perfect. You may not say them exactly right, but you can get those words out, and you can, you know, you just have to have confidence in yourself that you can do those kinds of things. And don't let those things hold you back. So if you want to create a course, don't let fear of being a leader be the thing that keeps you from moving forward with creating a course on your site.
Yeah. Or if that is your fear, sit down with yourself and start asking yourself some questions. Why am I so afraid of this? And then do the and then what game, you know? Okay, well, if I start a course, then people might criticize me. Okay, and then what? Then the world blows up. Okay, and then what? You know, just keep going that until you get to that very last, like, this is it. I'm really scared of people not liking me, and that's it. And being alone, you know, whatever it might be. But I think that those are the powerful tools to start overcoming certain fears, or just go ahead and get punched in the face, right?
Yes. What you learn is that you survive, and it's not that big of a deal.
There you go. It didn't hurt as bad as you thought it would be.
Sometimes that bruise could be kind of cool too, you know, like,
there you go.
I'm rough and tough. You should see the other guy.
Love it. Yes. And that's cool. Our point, everybody. Go ahead and get in a fight and get punched in the face. The end.
The end. We're done. Yeah. Okay. Actually, I do think we've done a lot of really good service to this topic, and I hope it inspires you to go out there and just, you know, be your best and try some new things. What else do we have to do? Let's try some new things.
I love it. Be yourself. That's for anybody who knows Just Friends. That's a reference from that. The end. Gotta go.
Okay. So if you're loving this FriChats and the Chopped podcast, I would love it if you could go to iTunes or Stitcher and leave a review. Sharing about this podcast on social media or with your friends or on your own blog or podcast is all exciting too. It really makes a big difference for the show.
Sharing is caring.
Sharing is Cara.
Oh, yeah. See what she did there?
I did it. So, Cara, I had a great time talking with you today. Thanks.
Ditto, sister. I'll see you next week.
Okay, talk soon.
All right, bye.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of FriChats. You know, Cara and I love talking about the soulful side of food blogging, so we hope that you love hearing it. For the show notes of today's episode, go to chopped.academy/podcast. While you're there, be sure to sign up for the Chopped Academy newsletter so you'll be the first to know about the exciting things coming your way soon. You know what? You inspire me, and I hope today's show was helpful and inspirational to you as well. Now go forth and be your best you.